So, before I start talking about counter strikes, I should probably explain a little bit about strikes. So, there is a thing called fair use, which applies not just on YouTube but everywhere. That means that you can use copyrighted material for a number of reasons. It might be that you are doing a reaction video, you're doing a parody, you might be transforming it somehow and making it into your own work. There are laws that protect people and allow them for fair use. There are, of course, copyright laws also, so you can't simply take someone's video and repost that whole video. That would be a breach of copyright. So YouTube has a number of things in place for creators to try and make it a better place for creators so they can't be exploited by other creators. And the whole point of it is to try and make YouTube a better place for everyone. So, when someone makes a copyright strike on your piece of work, on your video, they're claiming that they have copyright ownership over part of your video. They're saying that it is a legal matter. You can't use a copyright strike just because you don't like someone or because you want to have a go at them because they've pissed you off. It's not how it works. It is an actual legally binding thing. If you're making a copyright strike, you're saying this person is in breach of copyright. I'm going to take them to court. A person can choose to accept the strike and their content will be removed. They have 7 days to act on whether or not they want to do anything about their content being removed, or they can just let it go. Then after 90 days, the strike is lifted. Of course, if you get 3 strikes, your channel is then affected and your channel is removed. There's a new game on YouTube, and I've discovered that it's not just happening with Kylie creators, but it's also happening amongst some creators who are covering the Idaho 4. And that game is to throw copyright claims at people, copyright strikes at people, to try and take their channels down. Of course, what people don't understand is that when you do get into something like that, you are going beyond YouTube. You are then stepping into the legal arena. If you are going to make a copyright claim against someone, you better be ready to back yourself up, because while they may decide not to dispute it, if they come back at you with a counter strike, then the onus is on you to prove that you do have your copyright claim. If you originally make a strike and they don't respond, you don't have to prove anything else. That's the end of story. Content gets removed. You win with your strike. But if you have made a copyright strike that is untoward, illegal, etc., and it comes back to you as a counter strike, you have one of 2 actions you can choose, and you have 10 business days, US business days, to take those actions. You can do nothing about that strike, which is you acknowledging that you were in the wrong, really. Well, I guess sometimes not always. Sometimes for some people it's just not worth pursuing. But you can choose to do nothing, in which case, after the 10 days is elapsed, the person who you made the strike against, the strike is lifted and the action is annulled. Any penalties made against the person that you made against the strike are also removed. However, if you are genuinely making a strike for legal purposes and you have a case that you are fighting in court, then you have 10 days to produce evidence to YouTube that you are fighting that case in court. So let's have a quick look at what YouTube says in terms of counter-strikes. So I will mention first that in terms of a counter-strike, once it has been accepted by YouTube, that means that they are recognizing that you do have a legal claim in terms of your counter-strike. So here's what they have as far as what happens. So what happens after you submit a counter notification? And remember, by this point, YouTube have already checked the counter notification to make sure that it is legally acceptable. After a counter notification is submitted, it's forwarded to the claimant if it meets all the requirements, including a clear explanation of why you believe the content was misidentified or removed in error. Counter notifications that don't meet all the requirements may be rejected. The claimant has 10 US business days, as required by copyright law, to respond to the counter notification. They must respond with evidence of legal action taken to keep your content from being reinstated to YouTube. If the claimant doesn't do this within this 10-day time period, your content is reinstated to YouTube unless you deleted it, and the associated copyright strike is cleared from your channel. And this is part of the response that you receive from YouTube when you do a counter strike. Bear in mind that a counter notification is a legal request. As a result, YouTube must process the counter notification in accordance with the law. This process can take some time, so we kindly ask for your patience during the process. As I mentioned, YouTube don't deal with the legalities of the claim. Once a counter strike goes through, the onus is on the original person who made the first strike to prove to YouTube that they have legal grounds. They need to show that there is a case in court. They need a case number. They need to have evidence that they are making a legal claim. Now, here's a comment made by YouTube on X with regards to people who misuse the copyright tools. We look into misuse of our copyright tools and web forms to prevent abuse. So then it says creators have the option to submit a counter notification. Once that's processed, we investigate for abuse. So what they're saying there is that it is essentially protocol. When someone makes a strike against another channel, when there is a counter strike made, then YouTube are going to also investigate the original channel. They can't act on the counter strike. They don't have the legal capacity to do so. They have to wait for legal documentation to be able to say that the strike stands. They can't accept paperwork from the original striker saying, I think that I'm legitimately allowed to strike. It doesn't happen that way. They have to wait, and they need evidence of a genuine legal claim. In other words, evidence of a claim in a court of law. But while all that is happening, having received the counter-strike, they do investigate the channel that made the original strike for abuse. They make it quite clear also that if a channel is abusing the tools which are provided by YouTube, that they do risk a chance of losing their channel. So while for some it may seem like a bit of a sport at the moment to go play a bit of baseball, as I've heard them term it, I've heard someone going, yeah, batter up. For some, they may think it's sport, and at first it may seem like a bit of fun when you see the strikes hitting and channels being affected by the strikes. But here's the thing. If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, if you're not doing it with legal backing, then it is going to backfire on you. It is not a tool that you can use just because you don't like someone, or because someone said something that you don't like, or said something about you that upset you. It doesn't work that way. It is a legal tool. If you're going to make a strike, you better be prepared to back it up in a court of law, because it is a legal issue. It is a serious issue. It's not a game. So making a strike, if it is uncalled for, if it is unjustified, could very well, particularly if you make more than one, end up costing you your channel when YouTube investigates and sees that you have intentionally misused tools which are in place to help creators in a positive way, not to help creators just to be bullies and to massage their own egos.